Hello, people and bots. Grandpa Canuck here, and we're in Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice mod for a tutorial today. The tutorial is on the Hungary focus tree. Oh, my two green cheek conures, Bonnie and Clyde, are here as well. They'll add their 2 cents worth. So, the Hungary focus tree is an item that needs to be understood by all players, and I'm just going to start a new game here, and particularly if you're playing Germany or Italy, it can have great effects. Now, the reason I mention this is because when you're setting up any major power, you get this custom game rules. And when you click on that and you go down the list to AI behavior, the last item on the list is Hungary for AI behavior. And you can alter how all these countries can play differently. And Hungary has the most options of all. There are literally 12 options, depending on how you're going to do the focus tree. So no matter what country you're playing, you need to understand these 12 options. Historical, revisionist German leaning, Austro-Hungarian, communist with 3 choices, democratic with 3 choices, Hungarianist, and random. So what do those all mean? Well, what we need to do is actually go in to Hungary. Now, when you start playing as Hungary, a message comes up as soon as you start to play. Okay? And it's about a mod that is incorporated within the Black Ice mod. Black Ice uses many mods as input, and in particular it uses the Hungarian flavor mod. Now when you read through this, it says this mod aims to make playing Hungary a more enjoyable experience. However, historically, Hungary's options were very limited during this time period, so a realistic representation of the country would not necessarily be fun for everyone. Well, welcome to Black Ice. If you wish to play Hungary in a less challenging scenario, choose the non-realistic version, a historical mode only. And if you want a more realistic, challenging experience, choose the realistic version. Note that choosing the non-realistic version will mostly only influence event outcomes, example, territorial demands, and have very little effect on quantitative gameplay elements like number of factories or divisions. You don't have both options. You only have the realistic version when playing Hearts of Iron. So you might say the mod is there, but you have to go the realistic. And as it said, okay, it is hard. So let's hit that. And here we go in. And let's open up the focus tree. So here we have the German focus tree. I'm going to zoom right out. And as you look at it, you can see the focus tree is too wide to fit on the screen even at the smallest font. It's a very wide focus tree. It is only 8 deep at its deepest part. And not many parts are 8 deep. Most of it is like 5 deep. So first of all, there's a number of sections across the top. 1, 2, well, let's zoom in a little bit. One, 2, 3, and they kind of join. 4, 5, 6, and this immense 7th one on the right-hand side. This 7th one is really 2 whole tech trees in their entirety with 1 decision off the top. So the right-hand decision eliminates all of this left. The left-hand decision eliminates all of the right. Okay, and you can go any which way. Now, the upper right one, as I called it, the ideological shift. Okay, and this leads into essentially democratic and socialist gameplay. So, communist, turning Hungary into a communist, turning it into a democracy, so to speak. Okay, and that's this entire third of the tech tree. Now, whichever one of these two you choose, you will get access to these other six parts of the tech tree. So the second choice, and this is usually the first or second item that you would go on the focus tree, okay, would be either this ideological shift, which would lean towards democracies and communists, okay, or this one, which is revisionism, which is going to lead you into an independent, creating your own faction, or turning German faction. There's lots of interaction with Italy within here as well. And this is the one that's probably a little easier to play than turning democracy or communist. Mind you, there are other options along the way. So let's just leave those two parts for a little bit, and let's look at the other parts. Let's zoom in here, because we can. Territorial policy. This is a small branch of the tech tree, okay? And you have to understand that Hungary is a remnant of the Austro-Hungarian Empire from World War I, and how it was divided up, and many other countries were formed after World War I that didn't exist before. Yugoslavia, Austria are the main examples. So this affects on how you deal with territory that you reacquire, okay, during gameplay, with integration and suppression, okay, and then developing Transylvania is a section all on its own. This section deals with the disarmament treaty, okay, and you can come up with the Bled Agreement, which means you have the right to rearm, and this takes you having opinions of you need to be positive, above zero, from Yugoslavia, Romania, and Czechoslovakia to do the Bled Agreement. The secret rearmament you can go into right away, and all of this is accessible. The entire tech tree is accessible no matter which one you choose. Okay, and so this is dealing with unit development. Okay. Revive the Navy. To get this part of the tech tree open, you must have a port. You must have a coastal state, and you don't start with any. So this is not something that you're going to be using on the focus tree early in the game. The next section is the Gyori program. This is all of unit development. Okay. So everything in here dealing with planes, infantry development, okay, fortification, and half of the industry is all in here. Okay. Now here we have the start of agricultural modernization. This has to do, this part of the tech tree has to do with your industries. So a lot of the industry stuff, just zoom out, you can see there's some under the other sides here, but most of it is here in this section dealing with industry development. Okay, and that's this section here. It goes into synthetics and oil and every other aspect of the adding industry, for example, civilian factories, etc. Okay. And the last part of the focus tree on the far left has to do with how you're going to handle your choice of going into a monarchy or not. And the first choice is simply that. Are you going to dismantle the monarchy, or are you going to consider going back strong into a monarchy situation? And obviously, that's the end of this part of the focus tree if you dismantle the monarchy. If you decide to settle the matter of the monarchy, you then have three options. And those three options lead to other items, and you can eventually make 5 different decisions on who you want the king to be. Edward of Windsor, British. Otto von Habsburg, okay? And there's actually Albert Franz von Habsburg, okay? Sweden as well. So the choices are very different on who you're going to develop as your allies by doing this route, or whether you're going to be independent. Now, those are the major parts of the focus tree. Let's go back to the far right-hand side again. And this would be coming down, and you have choices. Now, you remember those choices in the beginning where there were different communist routes to go? That's these different administrative choices here. And that will affect on how you progress through that tree. Okay? And that gives you some different choices. The democracy, you had some choices. Again, right? Peace with your neighbors, a referendum for southern Slovakia. There's different options that you can go through with that. And then there's the Great Coalition, which is essentially trying to gather in together parts of your government to make it stronger, and then how that government progresses forward. Okay, it's not a coalition of other countries. That would be different. Okay. Now, I personally like this part of the focus tree, the revisionism. And there's a major choice right in the middle of this tech tree here on the second row, which is Hungary first or draw closer to Germany. And you can play either way. The draw closer to Germany essentially sets you to be in the Axis powers. And it has negotiations with Italy to, get coastline in the Adriatic to open up that naval branch. That's all possibility, right? Joining the Axis, it's all a possibility. Okay. Now, depending on which way you go, will cut off certain aspects. So, if you go Hungary first, this becomes possible. If you draw closer to Germany, this becomes possible. There's very little changeover, but there is one line right down the center of this, which is choosable if you go Hungary first or draw closer to Germany. Okay? So you could literally go revisionism, Hungary first, or draw closer to Germany, doesn't matter. And your third thing you're doing would be this one, reassert old claims. And this part of the focus tree is where you can gain significant territories. Okay, this is part of the Italian coast. Okay, Slovakia, You can partition Romania with the USSR. Okay, and you could do this within a year of starting the game, and you would get the Transylvania area for the most part, and Russia would get chunks of Romania, and Romania would be left as a very, very small power compared to what it was. Okay, you can also demand Transylvania. Okay, and then there's another threat below that. Yugoslavia, you have two choices. Okay, partitioning Yugoslavia or Yugoslavia Treaty of Eternal Friendship, and there's prerequisites on these as well. Okay, and that is available for either side, either drawing closer to Germany or Hungary first. So there's a good chance that Hungary will grow in size and territories as you play this. It's the most varied country in the Black Ice mod that you can go and do. Okay. Now, under the Hungary first, you're creating your own faction. You're not going with Germany and into the Axis, okay, as these choices would be dealing with. You're creating your own alliance. Okay? And you can end up inviting Finland, working with Turkey, okay, invite Bulgaria, work with Greece as an ally, a Polish-Hungarian, okay, support the Polish claims, okay, which is kind of very anti-German, okay, and befriend Austria, and of course the referendum, which makes Austria part of your country, and you reform Austro-Hungary towards the Austro-Hungarian Empire that used to be. Or you can go to war with Austria. So the options are very varied that you can do even within this part of the focus tree. Okay, becoming under the fascist, German economic aid, join. You have a way in here of the fall of the USSR, which is claiming USSR territory if and when it falls, etc. Joint German incentives, the Adriatic Initiative. Okay, different ways, cooperation with Italy. So working within the fascist powers is this whole section that is here. Now, the far right of this, something called Hungarian Ideas and Maintain Conservative Government. So that is a little bit possible, which is separate to the draw closer to the Germans, but it is not totally connected. This requires there's a few items that you can come down to here, depending on which one of these ideas you wish to go for. Okay. Maintain the conservative government or the Hungarianist ideas. It's all different ways to organize your nation. So there's some very, very different choices, and they're within 1, 2 of the top. And then it knocks off whole areas. So this or this, you can't really do both. Okay, you would have to do this choice here, maintain conservative government to access this, and Hungarian ideas to access this part of the tech tree. Either side, it eliminates it. So even though this tech tree is absolutely huge, by making your decisions, you quickly eliminate large chunks of it. So you do need to know what your long-term plan for Hungary is when you start. What direction do you want to go? If you have to shift it and switch, there's some flexibility. but not a lot. And know what the repercussions are. Okay? Can you maintain being friends with Germany, and can you take in Austria to reform the Austro-Hungarian Empire? To a degree. It's possible. Does it limit your options with Germany? Yes, it does. Not looking at reforming the Austro-Hungarian Empire and just expanding Hungary, okay, without the Austrian component, and let Germany take in that, gives you a lot more options of dealing with Germany. But it could allow you to become the power of the Balkans, for sure. So those are all options that are within the focus tree. So when you're making your decisions and playing Hungary, you need to look at the decisions at least 2 rows down. And as I said, major decisions very, very early in 1936. Very early. Okay. This is all pretty straightforward. The secret rearmament, okay, tank development, rapid corps, which, dealing with trucks, expanding the rapid corps, right, infantry tactics. This is all fairly similar to a lot of choices on other tech trees. The Navy is pretty straightforward, okay, Croatian ports, okay, heavy ships, amphibious operations, naval defense, screening efforts, etc. You don't really have an aircraft carrier option. That is just too far-fetched for Austro-Hungary to even manage. Okay, under the production, right, all the options, more trucks, more motorization, etc., etc., etc. Bomber production, all of the efforts are there, for aviation, army, armor, and all the usual ways of going forward. The one major thing under the industrial is fortification effort versus industrial effort. And this does have a few choices that get blocked off. Okay? And then it all leads down farther. Well, that pretty much covers this wide focus tree, and very, very different choices. And just understand what the overall basics are if you're going to play other countries, because you may want to have Hungary act a different way than historical, depending on what your agenda is as those other countries. Okay? So you could play as USSR and have Hungary become a communist country. You could play as England and try and have them install, Edward of Windsor. Okay, so that you have more of an ally in the Balkans area early on. These are all options that are there. So knowing the basics of this focus tree can let you make those decisions even if you're not playing as Hungary. Okay? And what's involved with those, and what Hungary is not going to do if you choose those items as well. If you have any questions about this, please put them forward. I'll try and answer them. This is a fairly complex, diverse focus tree. It is the one within Black Ice that gives you the most options to go in the most unique directions of any of the secondary countries that exist. So Hungary can be a very fun country to play. Probably not the best first country, but if you know what you want to do and you know what the focus tree is, even as you're playing the first time, going through Hungary, it does make it a possible, because things progress fairly quickly. Any questions you have, please put them down. So, Grandpa Canuck, going to sign off here. Until next time, all you people in bots, be good to one another. Take care. Bye-bye.